Hey y'all, I'm back to talk about the Essence Festival concerts because I'm seeing a lot of discourse around the concert. So I'm going to give you my review as well as my tips and things to keep in mind because it's all about perspective. Number one, Essence Festival is very different in many ways. Essence Festival is a nighttime indoor stadium concert festival. A lot of the premier festivals, black or white, are outdoor daytime into the nighttime festivals. So you have to keep in mind when you're comparing a festival that starts at noon and goes to 11 as opposed to a festival where the first act comes out at about 7 and usually it ends around 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock at the, on average. There's that. Personally, in July, I don't want to be hot. I'm cool being indoors. It's also a seated festival. In other festivals, they're standing room only, or in some cases you can bring a blanket, whatever situation. But the premier festivals, you're not doing that. You can't do all that. You're not going to be able to bring chairs and blankets and coolers and all that stuff. So it's an indoor seated, assigned seated festival. So there is an appeal to that for me, at least. I've done the VIP, ultra VIP at other ones. You got to fight for a couch seat. People want to hoard the seats. It's not a seat guarantee. It just does not give premier experience. So I do appreciate that Essence is an indoor assigned seated festival with air conditioning. You don't have to worry about the weather. I've been to festivals where because of the weather, it's delayed or you don't even get to see the headline act because of a thunderstorm. And we've seen this summer very erratic weather. So that's an important thing to keep in mind about Essence Festival. So that's why it's going to end late. You can't compare that to an all-day festival. Another thing that's different about Essence Festival and other premier festivals is that Essence Festival has a crap ton of free events that all happen during the day. So their events start about 6 a.m., 7 a.m. It's open to the public. It's free at a different location than where the festival concerts are. Other festivals, they do have things to do outside of just watching the concerts, but you have to pay to get into the festival to take advantage of those things. The other thing about a lot of the premier festivals is they have multiple stages. They also have acts performing simultaneously. So usually at other festivals, you can't see everybody you want to see because there will be people who are performing at the same time. Or if you don't want to lose your spot, again, that standing room only part, then you're kind of like, all right, I got to suffer through these people to get to these people. All right. So I've done Broccoli City Fest. I've done One Music Fest. I've done Roots Picnic. I've done Capital Jazz Fest, Capital City Jazz Fest. I've done just about all the festivals, the premier ones. And Essence still takes the cake for me because of the things that just make it a more comfortable experience. Now, to get into more specifics, let's talk about the actual shows. So Friday was a stack lineup. Personally, I don't think that Lauryn Hill was necessary to add to it. I don't know how many additional ticket buyers that she brought in, but maybe the ticket sales were lacking. I will say Friday, despite it being a really packed schedule, was the least attended day. It could have been because it's 4th of July. Maybe people wanted to be out looking at fireworks. I can't imagine that it was the lineup that was the issue because personally, I thought that the lineup was the best on Friday. I thought it was the funnest night. It was firing all cylinders for me, even though it did go until well into 3 o'clock. I tapped out a couple songs into Lauryn because it was just a long day. I got there at 8:05 inside, physically inside. By 3 o'clock, I've had my fill, But again, perspective. You don't go to Essence expecting to see every single act, and it's 7 acts, and you think you're going to be there for 4 hours. That makes no sense because if you were, you would be like, I know they don't perform 2 songs. So the other thing that's important to understand is that Essence is in a stadium. It's not in an arena. Now, I go to all the black concerts, okay? An arena is a different price point in terms of the cost, and it's a different size. You have to bring in more customers, ticket buyers. you have to put up more costs. Now, I saw Helena Moreno. She's the New Orleans mayoral candidate, one of them. She was talking about how the state gave $2 million less to Essence Fest this year. Now, states invest in tourism because events like Essence Fest have an economic impact. Well over $2 million, for sure. So anyway, so they're dealing with less. It doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure out there were fewer sponsors. And so what you do is you either pass those costs on to the consumers. I thought it was, for me, because I buy premium tickets, I thought it was cheaper than in other years. That was my experience. I've been going to Essence for a long time, and normally I got to sit way further back to get as good of a, to afford the seats compared to what I got this year. Now, some of it was timing as well. Anyway, so I say all that to say that one of the things that I don't really like about Essence is they do have a lot of breaks. Stephanie Mills, she talked about this in her open letter. The flow of the event is a lot of start and stops, and I don't like that. It's just like, you know, the performers come out, you on a high, and then they go to commercials and shit. People coming out there, you know, talking with the little corny segments. Don't nobody want to see all that. You know, you want to keep the party going, especially you're there all night. So sure, maybe at 8 o'clock it's less annoying, but by the time it's 1 o'clock and you ready for like, where's Lauren? Where's Matto? Where's whoever? Like, don't nobody want to hear that commercial shit. But again, like I just said, the costs have to be shouldered by somebody. So the corporate sponsors, she want to get it on this. The corporate sponsors help shoulder some of that cost. So if I got to sit through some commercials and suffer through it to have $50 off my ticket, okay, that's fine. But it does take away from the enjoyment of the experience. Most festivals kind of have some sort of commercialized aspect to it. However, because other festivals have multiple stages, then you can go to other stages while that commercial shit is going on. So the most important thing that Essence could do is just better pace the transitions so that the energy is still going. Get the DJ going, you know what I'm saying? Have that be more of the focus where it still feels like a party in between the sets. On Friday, it did feel that way. I forget who was the DJ. Maybe it was DJ Clue. We was up there. We was where them fans at. We was doing flags. We was doing like, I got the electric slide started, okay, on Friday. So that was the best day for me because it just felt, it was just more high energy all night. Saturday, it was a little more boring because the transitions were just very flat. So what Stephanie said, 100% correct. 100% correct. The transitions need work. But like I said, also, you got to pay something. The sponsors want to get their bang for their buck. So just work on that. Maybe make it more interactive, something, I don't know. But you know what you can also do? Do what I did. Go to the bathroom. Okay, they coming out again. All right, let me go get a hot dog. They have some really good chicken wings, actually. There's some chicken wings. I had some Little Caesars pizza. I had some of that. Get a drink, whatever. So, you know, I think that the perspective is lacking sometimes where people don't understand that not every single second of every moment is going to be filled with something that is to your particular taste. And that's on you to manage. That's on you to manage what you're going to do with that information. Are you going to leave? Are you going to suck it up? Are you going to have a drink? Are you going to go whatever? So there's that. Okay. So the Super Lounge thing, I don't know. I did not get there early enough to see the so-called Super Lounge moments on stage. That was whack. They fucked up big time with this whole Super Lounge thing. I'm sure it sucks for a legend like Stephanie Mills, instead of coming out to throngs of people, because Saturday, I forget if she was on Saturday or Sunday, but Saturday and Sunday it was packed. And you in a Super Lounge in the back, in the cut, nobody's in there. I'm sure that sucks, okay? So the Super Lounge, bad move. But I can't speak on it because I wasn't in there. I wasn't paying $600 to go to be in the fake VIP, because we know the real. I've been to Essence enough to know that the real VIP is by the stage. Now my tickets were in front of the VIP. So I saw the people, whatever. The only thing that I didn't get from the VIP the only thing I did get from my seat that I got from the VIP was I had better seats, I had a better view, but also whatever they had to drink and eat up in there, I didn't have it. But like I said, I had some chicken wings, I had some hot dogs, and I had some pizza over the course of 3 nights. Um, so VIP ain't really missing nothing. And to be honest with you, like a lot of times the VIP folks, they want to still be seen. They still want people asking them to take pictures. So I didn't get pictures with anybody, but I did see them being very friendly, like Chris Tucker, Jay Alphonse, is it Nicholson from P Valley, Uncle Murder, or Lil Murder, and then you had like Lance Gross and others. I saw people taking pictures all the time, being very friendly. So even though there is clearly like VIP sections, I still saw those people who are the VIPs being friendly with people, being social. So it didn't give like elitist, like, ooh, I know you're not. And to be honest, you know, those people, if they were kind of in their seats, they probably wouldn't get 2 seconds to themselves. So, you know, the concerts, it was still pretty inviting, pretty fun, whatever. So, the other thing is, yeah, there were some delays. I didn't mind the delays as much because I got there late. I got there later than I said I was gonna get there. So I didn't miss nobody I wanted to see. So yeah, so my overall thing with the concerts is there are sometimes issues, but that's typical of every festival. Sunday, the mic issues to me were more pronounced, but it was only a handful of times where it was a problem for longer than 10 seconds. Like, okay, the volume is too low, turn the volume up, or you miss the cue, so somebody comes in singing and you don't hear them for the first 10, 15 seconds. It was not persistent in the sense of like, okay, the music cut out, we got to restart the song. It was nothing like that. You know, now as an artist performing, I'm sure it's annoying, but to me as a attendee, I thought it was fine, aside from a few hiccups. I thought the sound was better than other years. The video was crystal clear. I thought they did a really great job with the video production of it. They had massive screens. They had the screens around the arena. They had ASL interpreters. I thought that was great as well. They were lit. They were turned up. I was watching them at the time too. So yeah, and the other thing I'll just say is, you know, listen, when you are in a stadium, people want their money's worth. It's not an intimate atmosphere. A lot of the performers are used to performing in arenas, so they're used to feeding off the crowd in a different way. The thing about Essence is usually the front sections are going to be a little more empty because the VIPs want to be in the VIP area, not in their seats. So maybe they don't want to be in row 7. Maybe they don't want people coming up to them every 5 seconds. So for the artists performing, typically they, you know, if they're used to people gagging over them and doing stuff, they are not going to get that necessarily at Essence because of the way the tickets are distributed. So what Essence should probably do is make sure that those seats go to people who want to sit in the seats or stand in the seats and sing along, as opposed to the VIPs. Because I would buy those seats within reason. I had to be a little bit to the side from my price point, but I did get closer to the center, you know, at the last second because they had last second tickets that I took advantage of. So my tickets and got some new ones. So yeah, but that's why some of the artists, I can see why they would be a little unsatisfied because they're used to, you know, people into it. People are there for them. You're not going to get that at Essence. But for somebody like me, who I like everybody, and if I'm not already a super big fan of you, I'm still going to embrace the fact that like I get to meet and see some new people. So that's my take on the concerts. It's a little long, so I know it's not gonna go viral on no shit, but I just want people to get a good perspective on the concerts. So Essence Festival, not perfect, but it's still one of the premier Black music events that you can actually enjoy in comfort and have a good time.